David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news, the wildfire emergency, the largest fire in the nation right now, burning unchecked, destroying thousands of acres, forcing families from their homes. Critical fire danger across the Southwest and beyond. Fears about fireworks for the 4th of July amid drought and bone-dry conditions. Utah banning them for now. The dangerous and now deadly flash flood threat for multiple states. Urgent evacuations after a Kentucky dam fails. Rescue operations happening now. And the extreme heat building in the Midwest and heading east. Triple-digit feels-like temperatures on the way. Our weather team tracking it all. The desperate scene in Venezuela. Earthquake survivors pulled from the rubble, even as the death toll soars. Rescue teams arriving from the U.S. and around the world, along with much-needed aid. The U.S. and Iran trading strikes over the Strait of Hormuz 1 week after President Trump signed that deal. Is it already falling apart? A dangerous close call on a busy tarmac. A passenger jet aborting takeoff when a business jet crosses the same runway.
Quebec Sierra, you just crossed an active runway. Hold short of A runway left.
The two aircraft just a third of a mile apart. Texas approves new reading lists that include Bible stories for 5 million students in every grade. Legal challenges are expected. Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg targeted by a false report that briefly separated him from his 4-year-old twins. Will Europe's soaring heat affect the championships at Wimbledon, with Serena Williams set to return? The FDA upgrading a potato chip recall to its top risk category. The Utz Company voluntarily recalling nearly 700,000 bags distributed to 35 states. And a World Cup like we've never seen before. Fans from around the world flooding American streets. From Seattle to Kansas City to Times Square. And now Team USA with a chance to make history.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin tonight with the wildfire dangers in the West. Red flag warnings across 7 states. The worst of it in Utah, where firefighters are battling multiple large fires. The fast-moving Cottonwood fire exploding in size overnight to more than 92,000 acres. It's the largest fire burning in the country right now and one of the most destructive in the state's history. This Ring camera video showing flying embers and flames moving in on cabins and trees. And the Maple Peak and Cherry fires have now converged into one, scorching more than 30,000 acres. We're also tracking breaking news in Kentucky. Deadly flash floods and rescues underway. We'll have the forecast in just a moment. But first, ABC's Melissa Adan leads us off from the fire zone in Utah.
Tonight, a state of emergency in Utah. Dangerous, fast-moving wildfires exploding across the state, forcing evacuations and destroying homes. The Cottonwood fire, the largest fire burning in the country, exploding to more than 92,000 acres.
I started kind of keeping tabs on it with my camera.
Mark LeDuc watched the fire closing in rapidly towards his property in Beaver, Utah. This Ring camera video showing flying embers and flames moving in on cabins and trees.
Within seconds, completely surrounding kind of the trees around my cabin. I've never seen anything like that. I didn't know fire could do that.
LeDuc later learning his cabin was still standing, but many of his neighbors weren't so lucky.
I'm still devastated for my neighbors who have lost their homes.
Southwest of Salt Lake City, the Maple Peak and Cherry fires merging into one, burning over 30,000 acres.
Yeah, we're feeling that wind pick up again. The gust is exactly what is driving so much of this wildfire.
Very much. The red flag warning has been in place since yesterday.
Firefighters making progress on the Iron Fire, now running parallel to the Cherry Fire, which has scorched more than 40,000 acres. Officials say there are no deaths or injuries, crediting first responders for the evacuation efforts.
The Iron Fire on the first initial attack was all by their volunteer fire department.
Wow.
And they are the reason that town is still there.
But tonight, red flag conditions remain across parts of the West. Whit, flames from the Cherry Fire are about 5 miles just up this road. That's where conditions are even windier and dustier than what we're experiencing here along this roadblock. Whit.
All right, Melissa, Don, we appreciate it. Now to that state of emergency in Kentucky. Flash floods turning deadly and some residents ordered to evacuate after a dam failure south of Louisville. Let's get right to ABC's Andrew Dymburt. Andrew, this situation appears to be getting worse.
That it is, Whit. Kentucky now under a state of emergency as dangerous flash flooding is unfolding across several parts of the state after all this torrential rain, sending creeks and rivers surging over their banks. Floodwaters swallowed roads, trapped drivers, and forced the closure of several major highways. Officials also ordering immediate evacuations in Bullitt County after what they called a moderate dam failure near Lebanon Junction. And tonight, authorities warning residents downstream from that dam to get to higher ground without delay. Across central and eastern Kentucky, roads remain washed out, trees are down. Governor Andy Beshear urging people to stay off these flooded roads, reminding Kentuckians that driving in these conditions could be life-threatening. Whit.
All right, Andrew Dymburt for us. Let's bring in ABC's meteorologist Leslie Lopez. And Leslie, you have more on this urgent situation in Kentucky and the flash flood threats in other parts of the country.
Right, and it's the same area, unfortunately, that we're talking about. Earlier this morning, we had a big band of rain. Severe weather moved through the Kentucky area, and it's going to be tonight that another big band of severe weather moves through. So we're going to watch out for areas of Missouri, through Tennessee, up towards areas of Kentucky, Indiana, and also Illinois. We have severe thunderstorm threats in those areas, along with areas of North Carolina, and this is going to move you through at least the next several hours through about 9 o'clock. Off towards the west, unfortunately, we're talking about dangerous fire conditions, extreme risk for the Four Corners states, wind gusts of up to 55 miles per hour, single-digit humidity levels, along with very, very dry fuels. Tomorrow, the situation gets a little bit better with cooler temperatures, but then that heat begins to shift out towards the Midwest and the plains. Look at these temperatures. This is the heat index, 107 for St. Louis, Paducah, along with Nashville. And then as we continue onward into next week, it moves out towards the East Coast. This is where we're going to see temperatures in Detroit make it to 100 degrees. We're also going to see 99 degrees over into D.C. That's the temperature value. The heat index will be upwards of 100 degrees.
All right. Difficult few days ahead. Okay, Leslie, thank you. Overseas now to the growing desperation in Venezuela as the death toll soars from those back-to-back major earthquakes. More than 1,400 people have died. Tens of thousands are missing. Rescue teams from around the world, including the U.S., are now arriving with much-needed aid. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
Tonight, as the death toll surges past 1,400 people, U.S. search and rescue teams are on the ground in Venezuela, arriving with special equipment as the urgent race to find survivors in the midst of a catastrophe approaches its fourth day. In the hard-hit area of La Guaira, north of Caracas, a hellscape with entire buildings collapsed into towering piles of rubble. The U.S. sending a combat ship, CH-47 Chinook helicopters, MV-22 Ospreys, and a C-17 Globemaster, along with satellite equipment to assess the need on the ground. U.S. rescue teams also bringing search dogs to look for survivors. Simon Medina saying he brought gloves and a shovel to search for his very own mother and brother, adding that they go forward with faith. More than 1,400 people have been killed and more than double that injured. And according to a UN official, some 55,000 people are said to be unaccounted for. Freelance journalist Clavel Rangel in hard-hit Caracas describes the scene there.
Just a few minutes ago, 3 young relatives arrived after being called to help to identify the body of a loved one. The uncertainty and pain on their faces for me captured the human cost of this disaster.
Wednesday's back-to-back earthquakes, magnitude 7.2 and 7.5, striking Venezuela when the country was already facing a humanitarian crisis, with millions food insecure and lacking medicine and other supplies. In Miami, people answering the call for help, donating food and essentials.
We live very far, but our heart is with our country, with our people.
With people banding together to help survivors and their families there in Venezuela, and this rescue effort is facing an ongoing threat. There have been more than 400 aftershocks recorded since Wednesday's earthquakes.
Just a desperate situation. Okay, Marcus, thank you. Next tonight, escalating tensions over the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. and Iran exchanging retaliatory strikes, and CENTCOM announcing new strikes just moments ago. This just hours after Iranian officials targeted U.S. military positions, each accusing the other of violating the fragile ceasefire. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Way.
Tonight, tensions again flaring over the Strait of Hormuz just a week after the U.S. and Iran made a deal. The U.S. military announcing new strikes on Iran in direct response to continued Iranian aggression against commercial shipping. At President Trump's direction, the U.S. striking military surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defense sites, drone storage facilities, and mine lair capabilities. It was in response to an Iranian drone striking a tanker this morning, the second attack on a ship crossing the strait in just days. After the first attack, the U.S. struck Iranian missile and drone storage sites, retaliation for what President Trump called a foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. But Iran's foreign ministry accusing the U.S. of violating the ceasefire, vowing to defend its sovereignty, security, and national interests with all its might. Bahrain, home to a major U.S. military base, says Iranian drones targeted its territory, accusing Iran of exporting chaos and undermining regional stability. Since the war began, Tehran has repeatedly attacked neighboring Gulf states in retaliation for U.S. and Israeli attacks. That memorandum of understanding Trump signed with Iran is already fraying.
It's also a ceasefire, which, as you pointed out, is always going to be a little messy when you're dealing with the Iranians.
Under that agreement, Iran promised to reopen the strait. Instead, it's been trying to control it, warning ships they could be in danger if they pass the strait without the country's permission. And with the U.S. military announced those new strikes just moments before we came on the air, and also tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says he's planning to send a delegation to Washington to weigh in on those nuclear talks with Iran. Now, Israel is not a part of the U.S.-Iran deal and remains concerned that it gives too many concessions to Iran.
Selena Wang with those new developments. Thank you very much. Now to the frightening moments on a busy Miami tarmac, a near collision when an American Airlines flight suddenly aborted takeoff as a business jet entered the same runway. The FAA now investigating. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Tonight, a dangerous close call on a busy Miami runway between an American Airlines plane and a business jet. The pilots had just been cleared for takeoff.
RNAV Jamba, clear for takeoff 8 right, American 308.
Flight Radar 24 data shows American Airlines Flight 308 already barreling down the runway at about 60 miles an hour for Bermuda with 112 passengers and 5 crew members on board.
Amerijet 461 heavy cross runway 8 left, hold short of runway 8 right.
The business jet crossing the same runway as the American Airlines plane.
4 Quebec Sierra, you just crossed an active runway. Hold short of 8 runway 8 left.
You just told me to cross the runway, sir.
No, we said Amerijet 461.
The two planes on a collision course, coming within about a third of a mile of each other. American Airlines telling ABC News its crew discontinued takeoff after seeing another aircraft on the runway. NetJets, the operator of the business jet, declining to comment. And with that plane later landing safely in Bermuda.
Morgan Norwood, thank you. The state of Texas approving a major change at public schools, making Bible stories mandatory reading for students. The mandate appears to be the first of its kind in the U.S. and is likely to face challenges. Let's bring in ABC's Alex Brochet. Alex, what more can you tell us about this?
Wait, this move puts Texas in the center of a debate over religion in schools, and opponents are arguing the move violates the constitutional separation of church and state. But the Texas Republican-controlled Board of Education approved a mandated reading list for its more than 5 million public school students that includes passages from the Bible. In elementary school, students will begin with a picture book series. In middle school, they'll learn about the Sermon on the Mount and teachings about the kingdom of heaven. And in high school, students will read Bible passages alongside classical authors like Charles Dickens and Jane Austen. Now, while this is likely to face legal challenges, these changes would go into effect in 2030.
Okay, something to watch in the future, Alex. Thanks. Now to former Transportation Secretary and possible 2028 presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg, saying he was separated from his 4-year-old twins for 24 hours over a false and politically motivated complaint. Michigan State Police confirming that they investigated the anonymous tip, which was dismissed as unfounded. Here's ABC's Faith Abube.
Tonight, former U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg detailing his anguish after a false report to Child Protective Services this week triggered an investigation and temporarily separated him from his 4-year-old twins. According to Michigan State Police, the anonymous report falsely claimed that Buttigieg had committed violent crimes and was a danger to his children. A CPS team showing up to his house ordering the former presidential candidate to stay away from his own children while they conducted forensic interviews. Buttigieg recounting the emotional trauma online. I tried to get my head around the idea that I had been accused of something so serious that I couldn't be alone around my own children. Michigan investigators have since determined the allegations were false. The father of two acknowledging that CPS and police were just doing their jobs, but questioning the timing of the damaging and false police report, saying it came just days after he shared Father's Day photos of his family on social media and during Pride Month.
And Michigan police have condemned false reports like this one, noting that they are dangerous and divert critical law enforcement resources away from real emergencies.
Faith Abube, our thanks to you. There is much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. A police officer coming to the rescue of a driver after her car fell into a sinkhole that was filling up with water. And the 12-year-old Texas boy attacked by a massive shark in the Bahamas, his 16-year-old brother coming to the rescue. Next tonight, Europe's record-breaking heat wave set to collide with the championships at Wimbledon starting on Monday. Number 1 seed Yannick Sinner getting ready after his stunning second-round defeat at the French Open, where he struggled with the intense Parisian heat. Women's number 1 seed Aryna Sabalenka also practicing on court. And, of course, a lot of buzz about Serena Williams and her return in a wild-card seed. Her first singles match is on Tuesday. Back here now, a police officer in Norfolk, Virginia, rescuing a driver after her car fell into a water-filled sinkhole. The officer climbed into the sinkhole as the driver began to panic. Other passers-by held onto the officer's belt, steadying him as he helped her out. It came amid stormy weather and a water main break flooding the street. When we come back tonight, ahead of the 4th of July weekend, the FDA upgrading a major chip recall. The chips sold in 35 states. To the index now, the FDA upgrading a potato chip recall to its top risk category. The Utz company voluntarily recalling nearly 700,000 bags of Zapp's and Dirty brand chips due to potential salmonella contamination in an ingredient. The chips distributed to 35 states, including New York, California, Florida, and Texas. No illnesses reported. More details on our website. And the harrowing story of a shark attack in the Bahamas, a Texas family on vacation when their 12-year-old son Parker was bitten by an 8 to 10-foot shark while swimming far from shore. His 16-year-old brother rushing to the rescue, waiting for a rescue crew to arrive. It took 1,000 stitches to repair Parker's leg. The family telling their story tomorrow, first on Good Morning America. When we come back, the World Cup about to enter the knockout stage, and Team USA with a chance to make history. Finally tonight, the World Cup entering the knockout stage, and Team USA with a chance to make history. Here's Christian Cordero.
Tonight, World Cup history in the making, with fans from 48 countries leaving their mark on American cities. From Egyptians celebrating in the streets of Seattle.
We're going to the knockout, and we're going to make this country proud.
To the Ivory Coast's shutout win in Philadelphia. Both countries qualifying for the knockout round for the first time ever. They're among at least 7 African nations to do so, a tournament record. Also sealing their fate, the Cinderellas of Cape Verde, who shocked the world with their draw against Spain. The island nation, with a population fewer than Wyoming's, advances thanks in part to breakout star goalkeeper Vozinha.
We show the passion we have for our country, and we show also then we are here to represent not just the players, but all the Cape Verdean in all the world.
Including number 1 fan, Mom, elated in the stands. Next up, Messi's Argentina in Miami. Norwegian fans rowing their way into American hearts extend their journey from the Big Apple to Arlington, Texas for their next match, while the Netherlands Orange Army travels to Mexico after paving the way through downtown Kansas City. And it's all on the line for the U.S.
They're a good team. It's a round of 32, do or die game, so we'll be ready.
This U.S. men's national team, dubbed the Golden Generation, is hoping to make history and win a game in the knockout rounds for the first time since 2002.
To do so, the U.S. will have to beat a gritty Bosnia and Herzegovina side in the round of 32. That matchup is coming up on Wednesday in the San Francisco Bay Area. Whit.
Team USA looking good. We'll be watching. Christian, thanks so much. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.